The original title for Alien vs. Predator was originally called Predator vs. Chuck Norris, but they decided to cancel the idea because no one would watch a movie that was 14 seconds long. Maslow's theory of higher needs does not apply to Chuck Norris. He only needs two things: killing people and finding people to kill. For most people, home is where the heart is. Except for Chuck Norris. Home is where he stores all of his dead bodies. The truth will set you free! Unless Chuck Norris has you, then you're screwed. Coroners refer to dead bodies as the ABCs, as in, already been chucked. Chuck Norris doesn't need to watch both ways before he crosses the street. He just roundhouse kicks any cars that get too close. Chuck Norris doesn't wear a watch. He decides what time it is. Saddam Hussein was not found in a hole. He was just roundhouse kicked in the face by Chuck Norris in Kansas, went straight through the earth and stopped just short of the surface. Chuck Norris does the vision. There are no remainders. If you rearrange Chuck Norris, you get Crush Rock in. Then the words "with his fists" are just completely understood. Give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Give him anything better than a fish and Chuck Norris will beat him up and take it from him. Guantanamo Bay is just code words for Chuck Norris's basement. The original title for Star Wars was Skywalker, Texas Ranger. Ozzy Osbourne bites the heads off of bats. Chuck Norris bites heads off of Siberian tigers. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword. He who lives by Chuck Norris dies from a roundhouse kick in the face. The phrase "dead ringer" refers to somebody sitting behind Chuck Norris in a movie theater who forgot to turn their cell phone down. Chuck Norris can taste lies. Chuck Norris does not kick butt and take names. He kicks butt and writes down a number. He's in the billions by now. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. Chuck Norris roundhouse kicked her face into a glacier. One time, Chuck Norris accidentally stubbed his toe. That destroyed the whole of Ohio. In 1990, Chuck Norris made a non-profit organization to kick drugs out of America. If he had named it Roundhouse Kick Drugs out of North America, there would be no drugs in the Northern Hemisphere. Anywhere. Chuck Norris can blow bubbles with beef jerky. Chuck Norris, in fact, lives in a roundhouse. Chuck Norris was once on Jeopardy! This show is notable for the first time that Alex Trebek showed up without his mustache and his head. The only sure things are death and taxes. When Chuck Norris goes to work for the IRS, nothing changes. Chuck Norris's first job was a paperboy. There were no survivors. With the rising cost of gasoline, Chuck Norris begins to wonder about his drinking problem. The square root of Chuck Norris is pain. Do not ever square Chuck Norris. The result is immediate death. To be or not to be? That is the question. Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris has never been in a fight, ever. Unless you count roundhouse kicks to the face. There are two types of people in the world. People that suck and Chuck Norris. 70% of humans' weight is water. 70% of Chuck Norris's weight is his wiener. Jean-Claude Van Damme once kicked the bejesus out of Chuck Norris. Then was woken from his sleep by a roundhouse kick to the face. Chuck Norris never wet his bed as a child. The bed wet itself out of fear. Chuck Norris uses 8x10 sheets of plywood as toilet paper. Noah was the only man notified before Chuck Norris relieved himself in the Atlantic Ocean. Jack Bauer once tried to use all of his knowledge of torture against Chuck Norris, but to no avail. Chuck Norris thrives on pain. Chuck Norris then ripped off Jack Bauer's arm and beat him to death with it. Game, set, match. Chuck Norris eats steak for every meal of the day. Most times, he forgets to kill the cow. Chuck Norris knows every word in the dictionary, except for mercy. The first law of thermodynamics means nothing can ever be created or destroyed, unless it meets Chuck Norris. When you say no one's perfect, Chuck Norris takes it as a personal insult. Paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper. Chuck Norris beats them all at the same time. July 4th is Independence Day, the same day Chuck Norris was born. Coincidence? I think not. If you're driving down the highway and you think Chuck Norris just cut you off, you better thank your lucky stars that it wasn't the other way around. Chuck Norris never goes to the dentist because his teeth are unbreakable. His enemies never go to the dentist either, because they have no teeth. Chuck Norris was once in a knife fight. The knife lost. In the medical community, death is referred to as CND, Chuck Norris disease. Whatever you do, if you ever work in the office with Chuck Norris, do not ask for a 3-hole punch.